teaching. Yeah, okay, yeah. Pretty amazing that
Ooh,
Donna, she's
okay,
got
Councilor Tan just pulled in.
Southern Oregon. Oh,
One of the same. Council President, Board Member Tan pulled in.
Probably just here for this platform.
Excellent. Couple,
that make a,
when she gets seated, we can.
Okay. Isn't
One.
Counselor Clark the chair?
Of the budget
Of the-
committee, but this is of the urban. You are actually chair,
Perfect.
because we're not being the urban renewal board.
Got it. Jesus.
My name's Dara.
No,
Just kidding. I was running late too.
Yeah, I know. I'm ready to.
All right. Are we doing the whole like plan acknowledgement?
the councilman, you could do it now. It is entirely your call. You run the
All right.
meetings.
We're just gonna jump into the urban renewal board meeting.
Perfect. Okay, well, we have convened the urban renewal board meeting focused on the budget. Give me a minute here to share the screen. Yes, and
No.
great. So I will just get this loaded while our additional board member comes in person. And Victoria, can you hear us okay?
I can. Can you guys hear me?
I'm a little bit, but we can hear you. So I am going to probably call up Seth here, help present this. But we'll just give another second for our board member to get seated here.
evening, Scott.
So yes, the purpose this evening is to adopt the Wood Village Urban Renewal District budget as recommended by the Budget Committee from last month. So again, just a quick highlight of the Urban Renewal Agency. It was formed in 2010. We say it was viable in around 2015, 2016 because there was enough increment started to actually start accumulating and doing projects. We have a total authorized debt limit of just over $11.5 million. And the First Amendment and only amendment wasn't done in 2019, mostly to reconcile some of the project items, because if you would tallied them up, they added up to over $11.5 million. And we added the small parcel up here in the Don Robertson Park, just so happens where this city hall is. So that was the amendment in 2019. Let's see if I can't move some of these. There we go. So as we've talked about for the last several years, and certainly in more detail at the budget hearing, when we say disappointing declines in the byway project, that was not the byway's fault or the developers. That was just how the county developed its changed property ratio, specifically for multifamily housing development. We have a whole other presentation on changed property ratios that we can send you if you want more information on that, or we could do City Hall after dark with Seth at some other time. But basically, that's how new construction gets assessed to the tax rolls. Prior to the byway actually being on the tax rolls, it'd been hovering between about 45-ish or so %. And then the year that the byway went on was about 33%. So it went on about a third of its, real market value. And that did impact some of our projections. As you can see here, as we have to pay back that bond, we thought we'd have a little bit of increment every year. In fact, we'll be spending down fund balance every year to pay off that debt, but that's also okay, because unlike in the city's fund, urban renewal agencies have to operate in debt. We must have debt to collect the revenue. So we're just, we have our debt and we're spending in debt to pay off that debt. Still plenty of fund balance by the time the last bond payment's made, around $650,000. Here we go. There really wasn't a lot of revisions from the proposed to approved. In fact, it was just $75 for its part of a city's 75th anniversary celebration. What that celebration is, we don't know yet, but the upcoming year is the city's 75th year. So we thought we'd add a little bit in the budget to do something, whether that's a little bit of something at every event, a no other event, maybe some special swag, we don't know, but we added a bit of money and that trickled into Urban Renewal Agency in the tune of $75. Otherwise, no revisions. So when you look at the expenses, operations, that's, essentially staff time and the audit work. We have our debt payments, and then we always put in for a little bit of capital outlay. Nothing is actually programmed in. We did learn this week that the old VistaView site is back on the market. That's the vacant lot across the street for $1,180,000, which has kind of been its ongoing market price that they've put on that. So we'll just watch and see what happens. So there's the potential. There may be some interest in that over the coming year, but even if there is, we all know it takes between 18 to 24 months from here's my project to actually getting the project started. So unlikely we'll see anything in this upcoming fiscal year, but there is some capacity to do that. As we've also talked about, there's the capacity to either refinance our debt or take out new debt if there were to be a big project we want to help have incentives for. Another example would be the old Greyhound Park site owned by the Confederate Tribes of Grand Ronde. They're currently doing some economic feasibility works. Helped wrap that up kind of end of summer, first part of fall time. So there again, several months for that work just to be concluded, let alone their own discussions about what they want to do with the site. So nothing anticipated in the period ahead. So again, the major expense is our debt. It's a pretty much we're paying off debt and keeping the agency open kind of budget. So again, unless a big project comes in, that's what we're focused on, is paying off our debt. Maybe a small project, an opportunity project, but nothing in the foreseeable year. So here are the two motions. What questions may we answer?
Questions by the board?
How much longer does the agency last? Their anniversary?
So the 20-year would be about 2030, but you can go until you've reached your max indebtedness limit, which in this case, I think we projected 2033, 34, and that's if nothing else builds in the agency. So if it was just status quo from here to the end, we have 8 or so years, give or take.
Federated tribes understand that if they want the public benefit dollars towards their project, they've only got 8 years left to.
Yeah, they have, because they're a tribal interest, they have maybe some other economic development tools at their disposal. So they actually can put it into trust for the purposes of economic development. So there's different tax implications in that sense. Really leaned one way or the other of how, when, or what will be structured or financed. But at the very least, seems like they're interested in starting something probably before the agency is at its end. I say that given, they've owned it for about a decade, but hopefully else.
Greg, I did see there was a comment on Zoom. I don't know.
Oh dear, now you're stretching my techie abilities here, because I got to unhide.
By the way, Mark Clark has joined the meeting now.
We saw that. Thank you, Counselor. Oh, perfect. We got your message, Commissioner Meany-Wezzer. Thank you. But we were able to hear you just fine. It was our volume on our side. Let me go back to. There we go.
Any other questions, comments? No questions. I'd
Can we
entertain.
pause for one quick second? Is Jeff online by chance?
I don't think so. No.
Because I had a question. It said on there that we were supposed to have a public hearing, and I want to make sure that we don't pass the resolution if we're required to hear a public hearing.
We can always open the public hearing.
We can and probably should, just to be
Yeah.
safe.
So yeah, before the motion, if you wouldn't mind opening the public hearing.
We will now open the public hearing. And I think we're safe to say we will close the public hearing. All right, we did our due diligence.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Mayor, if I could,
I move to adopt resolution URA 1-2025, adopting the Wood Village Urban Renewal District budget as amended for fiscal year 2025-26 and making appropriations.
We have a first. Is there a second?
I second that.
First and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Right now, we'll move on to the second motion or recommendation on the screen.
I move to adopt resolution URA 2-2025, certifying to the county assessor a request for the maximum amount of revenue that can be raised by dividing the taxes as provided by the Oregon Constitution and Oregon Statutes 457.
There's a first. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a first and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And carries.
Thank you all very much. That would conclude the Urban Renewal Agency unless there's any other questions for the board or staff.
We'll go ahead and adjourn the urban renewal.
Well, you are free to stay or, enjoy the wonderful.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, we needed to get that one done.
Phew, phew, out of the way. All right. Give us,
Wait till 6.
all right, we'll take a 3-minute pause.
3-minute break. And we technically didn't have to have hearing. Oh, we technically didn't have to have a public hearing because we weren't making any changes from the budget committee to the adopted. Dollars was from the proposed to the budget committee. But we got a
Safe
little.
than sorry.
All right.
Yes, right. There.
Yeah.
Becky tripped me up by not having a public hearing on one and not the other. And so
Since we have a little break there, I apologize for not being there in person. This is the rough time for me for chemotherapy. So I couldn't make the drive here from Sandy today.
No need to apologize. Glad you're able to at least join us virtually. And how are you feeling?
Not very well, but and I start again tomorrow. So
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, anytime you need to just, step away, please feel free to do so. We've got a quorum here, so don't worry.
no. I'm happy to be here. This is wonderful. Yeah, so thank you.
Mark, saw your house, that listing you forwarded us,
Yeah,
Zillow. Yeah, I don't look at those very often, but it's pretty amazing what, shows up on one of those listings.
yeah. Are you ready for this? It went up on Thursday and it sold on Saturday, and we close
Wow.
next Friday.
Oh, wow. Next Friday?
Yeah, it's a cash
Must have-
sale.
Must have been a cash offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and they even went over.
Wow.
Wow, fabulous, Mark. That
Yeah.
is amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's kind of amazing, but it does happen pretty quick. And even
Boy,
now-
I mean, good, because I know that's something you and Mary wanted, but bad because once it closes, we have to say, not goodbye, you're still
No.
a friend of Wood Village.
Yeah.
Say hello from the other side of the dais.
Yes, exactly.
There's a
So
public
at the end of the
hearing on
meeting,
the
I was
city
going to announce that I'll have to resign at the next council meeting.
Well, congratulations on the sale, Mark.
Oh, thank
Hopefully
you
that
so much. We are so excited and
Kind of simplifies your house and the living arrangements a little bit.
it surely will. Yeah.
We're at 6:00.
All right. It is now 6:00. We will start our regular Wood Village Council meeting, May 27, 2025. If I could have one of the council members, please read our land acknowledgement, please.
You made it. The Chinookan peoples known as the Clackamas and Cascades are the indigenous people of the land now inhabited by the city of Wood Village and other areas of the Columbia River. The village of Nochoclee was located near today's Blue Lake Park. Ancestral life of these peoples included a seasonal round of resource gathering and stewardship from the Wapato fields and fishing areas of the Columbia River to the cedar and huckleberry gatherings of the High Cascades. Introduced disease from early settlers dramatically reduced the number of these people. They signed the Willamette Valley Treaty of 1855 with the United States government and were forcibly removed to the Grand Ronde Indian Reservation. We thank the descendants of these tribes for being the original stewards and protectors of these lands since time immemorial. We also acknowledge the systematic policies of genocide, relocation, and assimilation that still impact many Indigenous Native families today. We are honored by the collective work of many Native nations, leaders, and families who are demonstrating resilience, resistance, revitalization, healing, and creativity. We are honored to be guests upon these lands.
Thank you. I will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, now we'll move on to citizen comment on non-agenda items.
Which we do have one. I said I'd pass along, or they were welcome to come here. It's a community member off of Oregon Street. I told you about this about 5 or so months ago. A person worried about speeding in their neighborhood. So we put up our traffic counters. 33 traffic movements on average a day. So about what you'd expect for that street, with the average speed between about 18 to 20 miles an hour, 85th percentile at 25. So that is the residential speed. I mean, higher than you'd probably want to see in a neighborhood, but nothing outrageous. A few high speeders. We had a 53 is the maximum. So that's cruising. Most speeders were about 29. So we worked with the sheriff's office, had their speed trailer up, had a deputy up there just kind of during peak times. Things seemed to settle down, but wrote last week saying, hey, it's a problem again. So said we pass it along, and certainly, we'll look into maybe updating the traffic counts and speed, seeing if something has changed over there.
Thank you, Greg.
No, I'll save my comment here for a bit.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and move to consent calendar.
I have, I do want to just talk a bit about our cleanup day.
Sure.
And did we have, if I could get a clarification, was it like, how many people and vendors and community folks participated in that? It seemed like a lot this year.
Yes, Caroline did a really good job of involving some nonprofits, I believe, and maybe she could drop it in the chat. I think we had 2 reuse places, not including the Green Century electronics recycling. So you can maybe say there were 3, plus the waste management. So that we had representatives from those 2 agencies, plus Green Mountain. We had then had volunteers from Los Columbia Gorge Rotary, as well as Cultivate Initiatives, plus some staff, myself not included, unfortunately. I had all intent of being there, but my body said no. Trying to think, might have been another couple other volunteers, friends or family of staff.
Well, it just looked like there were lots of people helping Metro.
Oh, yes, Metro was there. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it was just nice to see that many people. There was lots of refreshments and that. One of the things, and I'm glad that in her report that she's recommending that we stay on that site if we can. And that is that. Now, granted, I'm probably the oldest guy out there, but having porta potties there might be a good idea, because people were arriving at, I got there at maybe 20 to 9, and there were a lot of people there already, and it lasted till 12:30 or, that. So that might be a consideration for all the other folks, because you're going to be walking to Fred Meyer's. When we were in the Lowe's parking lot, people could use those restrooms. So as it grows, that might be a consideration. But I thought it was for the rain and for the conditions. Some, I don't know what the tonnage was, but
We've got the tonnage
people
back
were
yet.
pleased to be bringing their trailers and SUVs filled in.
I know there was 84 cars clocked.
Correct, because there were some repeats,
Some
but it was 84 trips.
Trips, yeah.
And the other thing too, Hiram, Mayor, I think you standing at the front, directing and giving instructions and help, is welcoming as well
Hard
as
work right there.
it was hard. And I had to be there too to back him up.
That's right.
It takes two of
We
us.
needed 2 clickers.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it was a really organized event, smooth. Even, I know you guys had concerns of it being off 223rd, but I think it still worked out really easy.
People seem to have found it.
Yeah, real easy. So it worked out really well.
Yeah, an advantage of the undeveloped Greyhound Park site is it's makes for a great cleanup day site.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. And there's probably not any way we're going to build out on the other side anyway with Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, the other side, that's no longer an option.
Yeah.
But one day we'll have to find a new home for it, but
For right now, we found a good spot. So, all right. We still need a,
Well,
I move to make that motion.
I second.
all right, first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now we'll go ahead and move on to the budget, the budget presentation for fiscal year 2025-26.
I'm going to turn this one over to Sid.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We are here to present the adopted budget for next fiscal year. Significant features, no change in personnel. We're not adding or subtracting any funded positions. As we covered at the Budget Committee presentation, all of their operating funds have operating revenues in excess of operating costs, with the general fund just squeaking in. The big item that got added was all of the costs related to fire for increasing the operating for the 1-year IGA renewal with Gresham, and then putting funding in for an engine, a temporary fire station, and continued community engagement around the question of how do we best provide fire service, both now and in the future. Here's a summary of all the funds. There was an increase, and most of that's in the general fund due to the items I mentioned related to fire. So this is the modifications made from your city manager's proposed budget to the Budget Committee. And so these were discussed in the meeting. You can see that the fire engine was added, temporary station, engagement for fire. We rolled over some money for the booster design and then as Greg mentioned, the $75 that we needed from Urban Renewal came from the 75th anniversary celebration, which we budgeted at 70. Those were all of the modifications that were accepted by the committee at the Budget Committee approval. So we have a couple more items for you to consider for tonight. 4 of which were published and 1 of which was tweaked. So the first is we wanted to roll over some money that we had set aside for the fire study this year to reserve for next year in case we need to do some more extensive community outreach and engagement. We're talking about doing 1 set of polling, but there's might be an opportunity to do 2 sets as we're looking at potentially referring a measure next May. So well 3 upgrade, work on that is progressing. I believe that the budget this year was $200,000, but since we are looking at the design of the booster station there, we wanted to roll some of that money over because it might extend into next year. The third item is continued manhole sealing. This is a project that was starting this year. We talked about delaying the trunk line design. I think Becky gave a presentation about how many millions of gallons hit our sewers after 1 inch of rain. And so there's a program budgeted for next year, but we wanted to reserve any funds that weren't used this year because we want to spend that money on making the improvements that are needed. So this $50,000 for the manhole ceiling would be in addition to the $100,000 that we set aside in this year's city manager proposed budget. That grant, well, that's not a grant. That was an error. I forgot to delete that grant for manhole ceiling. And then finally, we published a rollover for the Wood Village crossing rapid repeating flashing beacon. We wanted to bump that up from $50,000, which is what was published, to 80, mostly because when they were going to site the beacon and pour the foundation, they found 4 pipes that weren't supposed to be there. So that's not particularly the issue, but that means that the east end of the crossing might need to move, and we need to get some county approval on that. And I would like to believe that it's a simple fix that the county would process in a week or two. If that's not the case, we want to make sure that the funding is still available to finish the project.
What
And
kind
we-
of piping is it that it's in the way that?
Combination of electrical conduit, fiber conduit, maybe some sort of irrigation-y line. So
Oh, so it's part of the
the
community?
original location that we had it at, those pipes were supposed to be 6 feet further to the east.
Uh-huh.
And so they were dead center where the foundation was. His foundation goes 8 feet deep for those beacons. So we had an alternative site that also had pipes in the ground. So then we picked a third site, and we got county approval today, this afternoon,
Good.
that we can finalize that design, which shouldn't take too long. This guy takes some new measurements, then get it to the contractor. So I think they're inspecting the west side tomorrow. Hopefully, I think pouring either tomorrow or pouring the concrete this week for the west side spot. And then hopefully in the next week and a half-ish, they can pour the east side spot. So just trying to plan. I mean, it hopefully will go okay and we're done before end of June, but we thought better safe than sorry.
Yeah, and with these rollovers, this is funding that if we don't spend it this year, we're asking to preserve the appropriation for next year. So these, in theory, if we spend the money next year, it should be because we didn't spend it this year, it rolled to fund balance and is available as a resource, unanticipated resource for next year. We shouldn't require, this isn't expanding the not to exceed amount of any of these projects.
Just splitting between the fiscal years.
Yeah.
I love it.
So again, we like to focus on the operating budget. Our margin did decline this year because of increases to the 1-year IGA costs for fire with Gresham. And total operating revenues did go up a healthy amount, but not enough to cover that. So again, these are all positive across all funds, and we're actually seeing improvement in our utilities. That is all I have for the council. Free to have any questions. And I think that our next step is to, because we are making changes from the budget committee, we do need to hold a public hearing and hear any comments from citizens on any concerns or questions that they might have.
Do we have to wait to exactly 6:15 or could we open it now? Yeah, because we got 2 minutes.
We need to fill 2 minutes of additional budget.
The answer is yes. You
Guess that we have to wait?
have to wait.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure.
So talking about fire, not fulfilling for 2 minutes, just an update on fire. So we have signed our agreement. Fairview has signed theirs. Troutdale ended up taking theirs to their council. Their city manager is just going to sign it, change his mind. That's going to their council this evening. So by the end of tonight, hopefully we can have a fully executed document on that end. In terms of Clackamas, which I'll get into a little bit with the APP draft later this evening, they're still putting together kind of their framework for what a July 1 next year could look like. So then the goal this summer is hopefully starting June time is discussions with the 4 cities and discussions with Clackamas and trying to, fully resolve how do we financially sustainably provide the service to our communities. And so while we have some money in the budget, I also don't want to make it clear like Clackamas is the only way and discussions with Gresham are a farce. No, I mean, we want to engage in meaningful conversations with Gresham. And we also want to be financially structured to handle options and opportunities for the coming year.
Good, that's a good update.
Yeah, 6:15.
All right. We will go ahead and open the public. And now we will close the public hearing. And I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution 14-2025, certifying municipal services provided for the purpose of establishing eligibility for a receipt of the state shared revenue for fiscal year 2025-26.
Second.
There's a first and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries.
So this one, the first motion is approving or adopting the budget as amended with the additional $30,000 of rollover for the rapid flashing beacon, excluding general fund recreation services.
Mayor, if I may. I move to approve resolution 15-2025, adopting the city of Wood Village budget for fiscal year 2024-25 as amended and making appropriations.
Yeah, that should be 25-26.
Oh,
Or that was our
25.
typo. Yeah.
oh, 25-26 as amended and making appropriations, excluding general fund recreational services.
I move to amend resolution
We have to,
sorry,
A second.
we need a second for the first.
second.
There's a first and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now, before we do this one, I will recuse myself from this motion.
And it should also read 25-26 at the end.
I move to amend resolution 15-2025 to include.
May I interrupt you, Mr. Mayor? We have to put the reason why you accuse yourself.
I recuse myself to avoid any conflict of interest.
Because you are the general manager of
I'm the recreation director.
which is funded by this appropriation.
Yes.
Just to get it all on the record. Perfect.
I move to amend resolution 15-2025 to include appropriations for the general fund recreation service, for fiscal year 25-26.
I second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great.
Yay.
All right. Last one.
I move to approve resolution 16-2025, levying and categorizing ad valorem taxes for fiscal year 2025-2026.
I'll second that.
First and second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all very much. That concludes our budget hearing. We can pay our bills
Yes.
after June.
Very important.
And thank you, Seth, for your work on all the budget stuffs.
Thank you. All right. Now we'll move to Upper River Village update.
Yep, so we have a representative from Upriver Village here to give a presentation update.
Can I get these handouts to you?
Just hand
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Should have get that to her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, hello all. I was here back in September. And at that time you asked me to, representing Upriver Village. And at that time you asked me to return when we had a launch date. So that's what I'm here to tell you about tonight. So as a reminder, Upriver Village is a new nonprofit that will help our older neighbors remain living in their own homes and engaged in their communities as long as possible by providing social activities and extensive volunteer services in Gresham, Troutdale, Fairview, and Wood Village. We have been offering social and educational activities for about a year, but on July 1, our launch date, we will start filling member service requests. This will be a huge variety of different things. We know that the number one most requested service across all villages is transportation. The number two most requested service is social visits and social calls, but there's handyman services, occasional housework, occasional yard and garden work, seasonal tasks, technology assistance. It's a long list with very few limitations. I am here tonight to invite all of you to our launch party, which will be Tuesday, July 1st at 1 o'clock at Main City Park in Gresham. And we're asking the mayor to participate in a ribbon cutting with the mayors or delegates of the three other cities we serve. And we'll also be doing some short video interviews, and we hope you'll say a few words and can contribute to that. So we'd love to have all of you there, and we're excited to start filling the other half of our mission.
Will you run through that, the details on the launch party again?
It's Tuesday, July 1st, 1 o'clock at Main City Park in Gresham. And the ribbon cutting will probably be about 1:15. We're going to have food. Like I said, the ribbon cutting ceremony, presenting some gifts, doing the video shoot of different interviews. So we would love to have all of you. Please RSVP so we have enough food for everyone.
And how do we RSVP?
You'll see on the back of your brochure, there's, you could call us or you could use our email contact at uprivervillage.org, or you could just go to our website and use our contact form there.
Okay, thank you.
Do you, question there, you don't, is there an office or a general location that you work out of, or is this all from home?
We do not have an office. As a matter of fact, there are now 11 villages under the Villages Northwest umbrella. They're our fiscal sponsor and hold our 501c3. I think out of those 11 villages, only one actually has an office location. We do a lot of things out of Gresham Senior Center.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's where you meet and
We have coffee at different places. We have pizza at Flying Pine, Yeah, many, many different places, but we do not have we have a post office box. But we don't have an office.
Yeah. I know we talked originally at the Wood Village Night Out,
Right.
and it's nice to see where you're at right now with launching this, so.
And I might mention especially about Wood Village, we are doing our darndest to try to recruit bilingual Spanish-speaking volunteers, because we know there's a large population of Spanish-speaking seniors, especially in Wood Village. It's been really tough. We really want to serve that population, but we really need at least a handful of those volunteers to be able to do it. So if you know of anybody who'd be willing to provide some translation services, just very eager to serve that population, but kind of handicapped without those volunteers.
What I can do is I can connect you with another nonprofit that is also doing elder senior activities for Spanish speakers. They're actually right up the street on 223rd. They're called El Programa Hispano. And so I was invited to their facility while they had one of these gatherings. So I think this could be a great partnership to connect both of you together and see what partnership you guys can create. and develop.
That's terrific. We're all about partnerships and collaboration and cross-referral relationships. We're talking with a lot of healthcare providers, especially those that have case managers, for example, at the county community health centers. So those people are perhaps in the best position to identify seniors who are struggling to remain in their own homes.
And this again covers Gresham, Troutdale.
Fairview and Wood Village. And however, volunteers can come from anywhere. So as far as our members, they need to be 55 and older within the city limits of those 4 cities, or we have some that are in unincorporated Multnomah County, but they still have an address in Troutdale or whatever, that's fine, or disabled. But volunteers can come from anywhere. As a matter of fact, we have a fantastic volunteer from South Africa. And there's no age restriction on volunteers or no geographic restriction on volunteers.
That volunteer, Charles? His name Charles?
Oh, in South Africa? No. She's a marketing and branding consultant.
Any other questions or comments by the council? No?
Well, you've already RSVP'd.
Yes, I did.
Mayor, that you'll be there. We hope the rest of you will join us.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move along to discussion of fiscal year 20, I think it said 25, 26 APP draft.
Yeah, something that kind of fell through the cracks. We talked so much about fire, and obviously that was going to be a big part of, and touched on the lack of probably a big APP at the retreat, but we never actually brought the draft before you. So we have that this evening. And spoiler alert, it's mostly fire. Right. So again, just a recap for what the annual performance plan is, maybe for those listening about it for the first time. But essentially, we discuss it at our annual retreat every year. That sets goals for the city manager, subsequently then directors, to really target specialty projects that are attached to one of our 8 goals that push the community and organization forward. So overseen by you all, and is designed to take up about 10% of, I don't want to call it extra time, but it's time that if we don't fill with something specific, it gets filled with something else. So we put the annual performance plan together to fill it with intentional targeted projects, tasks, and items. But one thing I did want to mention is, especially the last couple of years, we've had some big projects. And while they could fall under one of the 8 goals, we try to fit it under the best goal. And so some goals this year don't have a specific project, but that doesn't mean that's not an important goal or something we're working towards. So for example, goal 1 has no specific items this year, but certainly the conversation around fire and emergency medical services obviously works into a safe, clean, inclusive community. But we put it under goal 2 because that says auxiliary fire, police, and building services. So 2 parts here. One are those regional fire service discussions we touched on during the budget process. So hopefully we get underway with Gresham maybe next month into the summer, talking about how do we solve this regional problem and what their thoughts are. And then we certainly have the other proposal from Clackamas and how does that integrate and what does that look like. So we plan to spend the summer talking about fire, and then the fall and the rest of the year implementing whatever comes out of that process. For goal 3, that's our high quality, cost-effective public utilities, parks, and events. So we have our wetland park development. So we've been spending this year refining the final bits of the plan, doing a little bit of community engagement, getting the permit process started through, because it has to go through the state. We plan to spend next year actually building it. We also, good news, we were invited to do the interview process for the state parks grant for about $300,000. So that is in end of July. So that's a great step to maybe get the final funding needed to do the full bill out of the project. We plan to continue our sewer inflow and infiltration reduction projects. We can touch about it in the budget process. So manhole sealing, we also have some targeted sewer repairs in conjunction with a street project. So taking all the video we did over the past year of our sewer system, targeting some meaningful improvements with ideally some maybe roadway projects that need to be done. And so what the goal is for the next 2 years to target that type of project and then reinvestigate the trunk line, hopefully because we know more about what the Grand Ron's going to do. We've seen what maybe development's going to land on some other parcels, so we can really get a better sense and feel of what's our capacity and what has these I&I reductions done for us. Because, you know, for about every inch of rain is about 1 million gallons. So that does add up. So we want to spend the next few years tightening up the system. And then Reservoir One booster station investigation. We had a booster there prior to about 2010, 2011. Decommissioned it because well 4 in theory could, and it can boost the water up to the upper pressure zones. That's not the ideal or optimal for any long sense of time. So a lot of the underground infrastructure is still in place. So we want to spend kind of the winter months investigating what's there, how does it work, how does it function, and what would be needed to create a booster there again. Goal 4 for long-term financial stability and economic vitality. That's how we're going to pay for fire. This one pops up at the end as well under intentional community engagement because that's going to be a big part of that as well. Nothing specific for the positive work environment. Obviously, that's something we always encourage and work on every single day. Goal 6, we're coming to the short session in the upcoming year, and we're already working on stuff for it. So we want to make sure we continue to push in that. That's something largely thanks to Seth, his Network 6 connections, we've been able to plug in more legislatively over the past few years. We want to keep that momentum up on certain projects and initiatives. No specifics for environmental, responsible environmental leadership. Obviously, the wetland park will do a lot of positives for the environment, but we put that under a different one. And then lastly, the intentional community engagement. Again, all the engagement, not just around the financing of fire, but certainly what that fire service will look like into the future and why. And then the wetland park final engagement for those unencumbered portions of the park, the gateway features and signage. So how's that all spread out? That's how it spreads out throughout the year. I'm just gonna close that for a second here. So you can see fire is pretty much year round, and then we have our projects spattered in between it. So this is just a draft. So unless there are questions, revisions requested, we'll bring it back here at next meeting for an adoption consideration. What questions can I answer?
Questions by the council?
I have none.
The grant that you're talking about through the state, is that a in-person interview in Salem?
Yes, it is.
Is it a 3-day thing or you guys only have to be there for one?
1 day we get 20 minutes inclusive of questions.
Yes.
So it'll take longer for us to get there than we'll be spending on it, but we felt the in-person, less opportunity for technical glitches or kind of wonkiness that you can get with online presentations. And for 300,000, we're willing to drive to Salem.
No, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity and an investment and hoping that we do get that.
What's the competitiveness of these grants? How
Highly.
many applicants is?
They haven't said, but it's 3 days.
Yeah.
And you only get 20 minutes. So, I mean, they're probably talking to 80 or better projects, and they'll probably fund.
They usually have 2 to 3 times they have $1 million available, they get $2 to $3 million of requests.
That's okay. So it's $1 million that you.
Well, we don't, I mean, it's more than $1 million that they have for funding because we're asking for 300,
But
but
there's twice as many, there's half as much money as people are wanting.
yeah.
Okay. So it's very competitive.
But we think, I mean, it's a good project and we've got a healthy match because of our other grants, but also the partnerships, you know, the Grand Ron, I'm going to get the name wrong, but it's like the Council of the Elders or Wisdom of the Elders. It's another native group that works out of the Portland office, looking at plant selection, the connection with the community, and just that's the nature park. I mean, it fits a lot of good boxes.
Yeah, well, it's important then to be in person and then represent them.
Else on the APP. Okay, you will see it very similar at your next meeting for adoption consideration.
Perfect. Thank you, Greg. Now we'll go ahead and move on to Employee Recognition Award with Seth.
Actually, it's going to be with me.
Oh, perfect.
We was like, how did Seth get that? And we figured out that he angered Becky one day.
You just got. I did. I was giving Becky, I was throwing Becky some salt in our weekly meeting. I think I got assigned some additional projects.
Now, to be fair, Seth and Yelena and Erica did all the financial background on the work. I'm just taking all the credit and, presenting the fun stuff. So this is a fun one. Engineering award for a very recent unknown, kind of surprise project. So we'll talk a little bit about just our re-engineering program, because it's been a long time since we've had one, so it feels good to bring one forward. Talk about the project, what it was and what it saved, and the award itself. So this program was first established by the council in 2008, essentially to recognize, encourage, and award those who really benefit and support the city. So it ranges from just simple volunteer recognition or contributions to a formal achievement recognition or for productivity or cost savings. And that's what we're talking about this evening, is that productivity or cost savings concepts, where it's structured that the employee or employees can receive up to 25% of the savings, up to $5,000 per year per project. The project itself was our ADA picnic pathway area just outside City Hall. The plans anticipated some kind of retaining walls, but it lacked the specific detail of where, how much, what type, because it was unknown what the final grading would be between when they did the pathways or the picnic pads, what grading may be needed, and if a wall was necessitated. So unfortunately, it was left off the bid by the contractor because it was very squishy. We just found out we would need some retaining wall sections. There were three options that we considered. One, the kind of the Corbett basalt stone, which is what we have a lot of out here. Concrete curbing, or I call it simple, but it's not necessarily simple, landscape block that you can make little retaining walls out of. That was the lowest cost option, and even that was over $12,000 provided by the contractor. Since it wasn't even the budget and not in our budget, we didn't know what to do, and we knew something had to be done very soon because they couldn't finish the final grading and overseeding without the retaining walls. So staff went to our staff and say, we need a wall. And they said, we can do it. So here's a couple pictures. So for reference, here's City Hall. Close that. This section is that section right there. So this is like if you're walking towards the new restrooms, you would see this wall. This is around the gateway. It kind of circles around by this pad, and there's a little bit wall over there. So not a lot. We're not talking hundreds and hundreds of feet of wall, but a good chunk of wall sections, and certainly some difficult curvatures. And this was done while I was on vacation. I came back, oh, cool, we got the wall done. And I thought the contractors may have done it. And it was only after I spent 10 minutes complimenting the household, our crew did this and did it in about a day and a half. So really quite exceptional work. Looks really great. Even though it's not the Corbett basalt, the styling is certainly fitting, I think, with our city and park aesthetic. This was done before final grading and overseeding, so it's even cleaned up a little bit more since then. So 25% of the savings, we had the crew track their time. We didn't tell them why. Just said, hey, track your time on this. And obviously we know what the material cost was. So 25% of the savings was $1,714.25. Yes, we did to the cent. So dividing amongst the three utility workers, that was $571.41 a piece. Even though some had a few different hours on it, we decided to just break it up evenly because some were on call and had to get called away to do a meter read or a check on a well. So we thought a reasonable approach was just split it amongst the three who worked on it evenly. Let them know kind of as a part of Public Works Week that they were going to get this award because they didn't know that going into it. We need this wall. They stepped up and did it. And then it wasn't until after we said, hey, by the way, you're getting, this is a perfect fit for the re-engineering because we weren't anticipating doing it. We got a hard quote and they were able to do it because of their skills, knowledge, and abilities dramatically less expensively. So we said it's only reasonable that you get that share, and that 571, that's the gross amount. So depending on their taxes and how they structure it, it'll be a bit less, but that's what they'll be getting in their next paycheck. And they're all quite pleased with that, I believe. A nice little bonus there. So questions, comments? This feels good to bring. It's been a little minute, but it's always nice that we have this program and can do things like this when they kind of step up and go beyond the normal.
We love them.
Mayor?
Yeah, questions, comments?
You know what, this is really, I know we all feel proud to be able to encourage our staff and reward them for initiative. And as I look at this, it's about, giving opportunities. And I think it's wise whenever we can look at opportunities, and this was a perfect one, to put it out there. It not only gives them some money, but in many cases can either further develop a skill or refine a skill that then we know we have that on staff. And when you know you got people that can do the work, sometimes you look for work to be done. And that certainly is a great looking wall, and the material used very appropriate in my opinion. So.
I just think this is great. Just another layer of us showing appreciation. When we went to the luncheon last week, and a few of us were able to attend, it was a room full of hard workers. And sometimes you roll up your sleeve and you work, countless hours, and little things like having a luncheon and, having a week of appreciation. And then, this to add, I think it makes a huge difference, and we probably don't see it ourselves, but I think there's value in this.
Yeah, I think this is another huge testament of teamwork also, because, understanding that they started it in piece and portions, some got pulled away, but the work still continued, and there wasn't, the task still got completed. I think again is a testament of that culture that's being cultivated here. And then our the team, demonstrates it further. And so it's a awesome thing that we have a program such as this, because again, them not knowing, didn't, I think, I'm not saying if they would have known, it would have been different, but I think that's just the added value of, they were just here to do the work. And
Yeah, they didn't go into, oh, well, you got a quote, so where's our savings? I mean, it was just, it needs done, we'll get it done. And then, but I think that's where it falls on management, and then to say, hey, this fits this program, we need to honor the program and do what's right by the employees.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, it's just an overall incentive for them to even look at the projects that are currently taking place, and maybe with some development and a little creativity and staffing and maybe some training, there will be other opportunities for staff to really grow their own talents and skills.
Yeah, we kind of promote this program, not probably as regularly as we should, but we certainly promote it, talk about it in depth for every new hire that comes on board, because they have the fresh eyes and fresh perspectives. But then again, dropping reminders, say once a quarter-ish of like, hey, just be on the lookout for opportunities for productivity or cost savings, because you get a piece of that.
And I think this kind of demonstrates that a little more. It's just like, here it is.
Mhm.
Here's that project and work. So awesome.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and move on to Director of Public Works report.
I'm not giving it, just thought I'd load it for Erica.
Table, okay?
Yeah. Work related,
Might file a complaint later. Thank you, Mayor, councilors. So we will talk about last month. I do want to just say, I have technical difficulties. That's what I want to say.
In the screen, then you can use the
Um, Thank you to those who showed up last week. We appreciate seeing you guys. So I just want to give you thanks and shout out for that too. So last month, we continued on the community garden. Obviously the pictures you see in this are different than what is out there right now. So next month you'll get the full on pretty pictures of a hopefully finished community garden. We really just have gates now. So it's pretty much just that. Right before the Easter event, we did get bark blown in at City Hall, freshen everything up. And then another big item that happened last month, Greg and I went over to Fairview to with Fairview, Troutdale, and then county transportation to all come together and just get a better understanding of where the county is, where their staffing is, and kind of the holes that everybody has with dealing with the county right of ways and getting a plan moving forward. So. Last month, we had 19 permits issued, 64 inspections, 33 code compliance. And then for building, obviously, we still have our restroom project and the CDBG that is wrapping up. And then the Chick-fil-A and Fred Meyer, Walmart, and a little bit of Arco remodel as well. And then our water consumption, we're hoping to get a better number for you guys this month with that Walnut service leak. It was not as much as we were anticipating. It was over 17% last month. We are down to 16%. But we did not 2 weeks ago now, we did look at a storm issue because there was still water coming up in the road over there. So we thought maybe the leak that they had fixed, something else had burst. That wasn't the case. But we do have a storm line issue over there that has collapsed. So that's holding water. It does sound like we possibly have another leak somewhere in the line that we're not sure of in that area. So we're investigating more. So hopefully we'll be able to figure that out and find another spot repair that then we can just keep bringing that percentage down. So Greg, did you have anything to add? Oh, okay. Do you guys have any questions?
The luncheon was delicious. I appreciate being invited. But as President Councilor Tan mentioned, it was great to see, those folks there and felt appreciated. And so it was just great to be present for that.
We might have accidentally made another neighboring community, I'll say look bad, but I'll just say it's a larger adjacent community that in the past had done like an ice cream social for its workers as part of Public Works Week. And I'm not saying it wasn't appreciated, but their Public Works director just by happenstance was here at this event, saw what we did and heard what it cost and went, oh, I think we can do a little better for our people. So we didn't do, that's just kind of all that, when the cities or Rockwood Water take their turn, like that's just what we do. It's a luncheon. Sometimes it's barbecues, they're dogs. We chose to just kind of cater. The price is always about a wash anyway. But yeah, it's just, even just a luncheon is just a small token of appreciation for the day-to-day that Public Works utility professionals, whether they're in the field, in the office, that they do, that most of the work is highly unseen. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a nice way to really take a moment to recognize that work.
Feed them, give them a good meal.
It's worth it.
Everybody loves that.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I always like attending that. I had a little surgery that day. And I didn't feel like I wanted to come in here with a big patch on my ear. So
just say it was a, workforce hazard and everybody would be fine.
I could have wore some headphones, I guess. Come bopping in.
Opportunity.
Yeah, come bopping in, man. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we'll go ahead and move to Director of Finance report.
Well, he's getting ready. We can all go to sleep now. Picking on you, Seth.
All right. Well, I don't have a presentation.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Starting out as a B.
Maybe you should.
Come in late today or something?
Every day.
Go early.
Mhm. Included in your packet is the finance director's report for April. I'll just point out that we still are hoping that the BIT revenue comes in the last 2 months as it typically does. All of our other revenues are on pace or have already exceeded budget. If you look at the graph, the one category that does not is the miscellaneous, and that's because the grant revenue is included in there. And we put in $950,000 for the wetland park, which got rolled over next year, which we don't actually get that money until we spend that money. So other than that, and in your capital report, we're expecting a bumper last 2 months with the restroom, the flashing beacon, and the ADA pathway all wrapping up in the next few weeks. I've been told by Becky these are happening, which is why she got salty with me in the meeting. I pushed a little bit to make sure that they're actually going to. So those are the highlights from the report. Happy to take any questions or concerns that you guys might have.
You do a brilliant
Questions,
job,
comments?
Seth.
No questions accepted. Again, going back to the budget and the work you've been doing this year on the budget has been challenging at times to anticipate fire and some of those things. So it looks like we're well prepared to get into the next year with given the assumptions we don't.
I don't think our problems are going to be money problems.
No. Oh, am I muted?
No,
You're on.
Oh, sorry, guys.
I would like to say something really quick, and that was last week Seth was invited to present at Fairview Council's work session. They were so impressed with his work at our 3 cities meeting around property taxes. They wanted more. And so Seth spent some time developing the presentation, but also, an hour at their work session, walking through a little more detail about, histories of Measure 5, Measure 50, compression, kind of why all cities are in this space we're in. Now, I mean, their council had some great questions. Obviously, I think, they want more. I'd like to think Seth did a wonderful job. Mayor, you were there, so I'll also let you have how you maybe thought it landed with that council, but I thought it was a very well done presentation and just a very good discussion, helping another council kind of get up to speed on these regional matters.
Yeah, on my perspective, it just again reiterated to the work that we've been doing as the staff here and then us as council of educating ourselves for over 2 years of what this means, what this implies, and how do we use that moving forward. And so I think it was kind of an eye opener to them, as I don't think they've been presented it in this form and manner. And Seth obviously did a great job of making it digestible for those that, again, could be the first time hearing about compression and the true impacts of what 5 and 50 have done in the state of Oregon. So I think it was well received. And yeah, it looked like they were hungry for more. So I do believe Seth will be called
City Hall After Dark 2.
Quest either show and like a fog machine, so Seth can
Go out.
Yeah.
some sort of flying contraption where he can fly in. It was kind of Fairview's choice.
So Seth also, put some pressure on staff at Fairview to step up their PowerPoint presentation game. So staff is now having to look at how we present.
That was a comment made. Yeah.
So
We didn't intentionally make anyone look bad. It's just that's how we present stuff.
Don't they they got the equipment, don't they?
yeah, it's not utilized to that form that
I see.
Seth was able to demonstrate.
Well, that is, I appreciate hearing the follow-up because I knew they wanted you down there.
Yeah.
And anything we can do to help our neighboring cities understand this is only going to pay dividends when we get to the point of having to go out and talk to citizens. We can all be talking kind of the same language, have the same understanding, and it'll help.
And I think again, just to it did resonate with them of, when we had the 3 city meeting, like why we were so focus on going towards a district again because of those financial constraints that we will be going through if we don't. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm working on City Hall After Dark Part 2.
All right, we'll move to a city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Before I dive into a little bit of just some project updates, just again, want to thank you for your adoption of the budgets this evening. It is quite remarkable when you're looking at the news or other cities, either cuts they're making, new fees that they're adding. It's tough budget season, and I think the collective work of us all, not just in 1 year, but of many years, we're allowed to kind of weather this storm and try to set something up in the future. Not saying we may not have to look at, a levy, a fee, or moving into a district in the near future, but not this fiscal year, and give our community members a time to adapt, learn, and maybe adjust their budget. So again, not that we did something right or other cities did something wrong, but it's still just a nice place to be in, that we're able to push this forward because of also your work and allowing us to, again, fire, we've been talking about 2-3 years and kind of setting up the stage for success on that. So thank you for that. I'm already kind of given the update on where we're at with fire. So again, final contract should be signed this week. We are working with Praxis every week. We're about to launch a website that has a bunch of the FAQs, video links, a lot of just great information, baseline information about kind of why we're doing what we're doing. So certainly no recommendations or here's what it's going to cost you moving forward, but setting a great foundation. And then once that launches, the next big piece will be the report. AP Triton should be wrapping up its draft. Essentially now we're just waiting on one more piece to fine tune. That should be done in first part of June. The financial side from Tiberius is done. So we have that now. So the next big push of information will be on those 2 reports and kind of helping the community explain them, where they can find them, why they're important. And then we'll be working on some sort of, I'll call it activity to do with the night out, to really start that education piece, something interactive. We don't know what that is yet, but that's what we're also working on with Praxis. So trying to use the summer months for a lot of foundational education components, and then moving towards here's what the future may look like. Or talked about the RRFB, and we found some underground treasures. I do think, though, that while there'll be a bit of delay, the east side beacon is going to be really close to the fence line. So, kind of furthest from the roadway. The new location is much closer to the curb line. So I think while it's a delay, I think we'll get a nicer product out of it from a visibility standpoint. Restrooms, we were.
Greg, that is really exciting to see that crosswalk going in complement to our other crosswalks we've put in as a city. 4, I think this makes it 4.
This will be 4.
Yeah, and that's pretty substantial for a city our size, and looking out for our pedestrians.
Us taking the step forward, us taking the first movement to get them constructed, and just being, I had to be on site last week to evaluate potential locations. Eric was there too. It was what, 10 or 10:30 on a Wednesday, and the amount of pedestrian traffic is actually quite startling. We were there maybe half hour, 45 minutes, and a dozen or so people walking in and around that area.
Yeah.
I mean, so I can only imagine, morning hours or maybe evening hours, weekends. So it'll be, I think, a great benefit and asset to the community there.
And there'll be more too when it's safe to cross. When
Oh,
people
yeah.
feel like they're safe, they can send their kids up to the shopping center.
Well, and again, I think the longer term vision, by longer term, in the next couple of years, we look at the intersection at Park Lane,
Yeah.
and then another crossing a little further to the south of Park Lane. So this is just the start of Wood Village Boulevard kind of redo. The restroom delays due to some bits and bobs, little things like hand dryers. They're not in yet. The electronic, they're called whips. I don't know what it is. I'll just be honest. But some sort of interface between the wiring and the automatic door locks is not here. So while we can manually open and lock the doors, the automatic controls can't be in place yet. Gonna do a preliminary punch list walk, probably either tomorrow or Thursday. So So while we're waiting for those parts, they can clean up some other stuff. So when it's the final punch, maybe it's just an item or two, but no ETA on those items. They say they call every day. And so we're calling the contractor every day. But we've been in the restrooms. When you build for vandal resistance, you get some weird anomalies. One of them is which the faucets off the sink don't stick too far out of the sink because that way you don't get a lot of leverage. So a little odd, but certainly works well. The toilets are also a couple inches lower than I think you'd normally see them. That will help facilitate just the variety of restroom guests we'll get. Other than that, actually they're quite lovely, bright, clean, should be easy to maintain. The utility corridor is full of utilities. It's quite shocking how full that is of pipes and gizmos, but we certainly plan to do a little tour once it's finished. As you can see, make sure you get to see it and everything. But yeah, nice, light, bright, a lot of compliments from people just on the exterior. So that'll be good to put that one away. The pathway, it's still not open because they needed a final inspection on the east end transition off the ADA ramp. That's scheduled for tomorrow morning. So assuming that passes, we'll get it open. I'm not sure if we'll still maybe cordon off some of the grass area grass is always questionable how well it grew there anyway. But hopefully that gets to be opened and finished out tomorrow. Lastly, we have a grad walk on Friday here at our park. This is something the Reynolds High School has done for the last few years now. We coordinate now with them so we can make sure we have some ice cream treats. But it is this Friday at 11:30. They'll be here for about half hour to 45 minutes. They kind of do a little luncheon. We have ice cream treats. We also plan to do a little engagement activity in just asking, I don't want to say the young adults, not youth, young adults, what role the city should take in food insecurity. So we'll obviously have that question for our community and some of our stakeholders, but we thought, well, we're going to get 200 some odd young adults here. Wouldn't hurt to get their thoughts of some options that we considered. So that'll be a little engagement activity as well. But you're all certainly welcome here at the park Friday 11:30.
I did attend that last year, and it was pretty interesting. Watching, about half the graduating class was there. So I think I like the idea of continuing to engage with those young adults.
Yep. And a nice, topical topic, I think, for community-based people. There will be, I think, a day left for the scholarship. So we'll also pitch that for those who may live in Wood Village, like, hey, don't forget, you've got a day to put something together.
I think I was running around with that application in my hand last year and talking to grabbing kids. And
Well, maybe we should do it again this year.
yeah.
No.
So that's it for my updates, unless you've got specific questions or thoughts for me.
I am hoping to reschedule some things around.
That's what we heard. Yep.
And try to be here. So
I have a question, Greg, and this is a good time for me to ask it. I was saving it here, but the last Wood Village News, okay?
Yes.
I'm gonna read this and kind of you interpret it for me, okay?
Oh, I'll try.
Okay. And this is on the bioswales,
Oh,
okay? Be sure to check with Multnomah County for information about these stormwater planners. If you have questions about maintenance, please contact Multnomah County. What does that mean? And how are we doing with the county in conversation about easements in these bioswales?
so I was going to say, I'm going to be really careful, but my facial expression of me rubbing my temples probably gave it away already. They have not been easy conversations, and I'll certainly let Erica chime in if I've overlooked or misstated something, because that was a big topic of the maintenance meeting that she shared we had last month. So these facilities tend to be required for new development and or, street improvement. So you have to have something. It's been pretty clear Multnomah County, I'm not saying this in a disparaging way, but doesn't have the ability to maintain them in a way in which is needed for these stormwater facilities. what they have said is they would love to have, some help, whether it's getting the litter out of it or blackberries, if someone has the aptitude or want, especially like on Oretta, for example, it's more residential than like a high commercial area, but even if it's area, someone kind of want to adopt one, they said they're willing to help train and teach people how to generally maintain them. Don't cut the grasses down below this. These are the good plants to help keep alive. And while they've said that, what we've seen in practice are none of the bioswales are actually in a healthy enough condition to do that. Even though they've redone the swales on Oretta specifically, none of the plants took, it seems like. It seems like more weeds than anything else. And so that's just one where it's not ripe for a partnership where the adjacent property owner can help maintain it other than, okay, I know this is a blackberry, I know this is litter, and those shouldn't be there. Otherwise, they're still a pretty good mess, and they don't have a long-term plan to really maintain these facilities.
Yeah, it's, obviously I walk by them every day and the plants are dying
Plants they planted are dying that
they
weren't planted.
they went, the work they did, we also, they excavated it out, came back in, put in some more dirt, and then they came in and they planted. And now we pull some weeds. It is, I'm not sure I have an answer. I'm not, but this is going to be something that is going to have to be,
It's a problem.
we can't expect people to call Multnomah County and say, hey, how do I take care of that bioswale in front of my house?
May I interrupt?
And let me just say one more thing
Okay.
to reinforce this. And if you look down at Fairview, it is, it's, pretty soon little kids are gonna get lost. So anyway, Mark, I just wanted to finish that.
Sure,
thought.
that was beautiful. Caroline just wrote a note that said she believes that someone from the county submitted that article to Erica for the newsletter.
Yeah, so the article specifically came from Multnomah County, kind of out of that workshop, saying the county was like, oh, we're happy to write an article. And we published it as they wrote it. I'm not sure exactly what we thought we would get or the intent. And so clearly,
That article came from somebody who actually works in stormwater specifically, not the transportation.
I think that
portion.
people are going to read that less informed and are going to be saying, wow, really? That's what I have to do in this city? So I think that there probably should be some clarification. We got to stay on it and make sure that people understand. And there may be some people that might want to go out there and grow corn.
Yeah, just passing the buck.
Yeah, and that was, I just think it's misleading and it just doesn't represent who we are to, and I get it. The county wrote it. Then I can see why.
yeah, the intent was for those who may want to help or it's in front of their home and want it to, be kept nice. There is an avenue to do that, but the expectation is bioswales are managed facilities and it's not the adjacent property owner's responsibility to keep them maintained.
Yeah, and again, they don't work if you just put anything in there. That's it defeats the whole purpose of the, and we all know this. I don't know whether we can continue conversations with Cultivate, and if that's a potential.
So
Other than
far, I'm
dandelions.
knock on a little wood here. So we're crafting the agreement for next year. They did have to reduce the staff level a little bit, but we're able to retain the same cost per month. It sounds like in that we can retain that despite what's going on at the county level. Hopefully they get some funding restored. But it looks like we'll be able to retain most of what we get from Cultivate in the upcoming fiscal year.
Yeah, well, I just want to encourage us to continue. It's in our city and I know it's not ours, but
We can't have it look like Fairview.
no.
And I will say, I mean, again, I'm not sure where Cultivate was today, but I'm like, oh, 238th looking pretty shaggy. Well, I also went down Fairview Parkway, went up to 57th. Oh, we're fine.
Yeah, we ain't as bad as them.
No.
And again, you know, it is shaggy. Hopefully that was where they were focused today. They've been working by the freeway lately with all the litter and some overgrown stuff there, which is also important.
Well, good luck with your continued conversations on the county easements.
I mean, it's tough conversations all around. They don't get the funding necessary to really properly maintain things. We can do we all got to come together for this at the end of the day. And that's kind of where the Wood Village approach has been, which isn't quite the same as our neighboring jurisdiction.
Going to be a partnership with maybe a nonprofit and maybe a little bit from the county and, yeah, so, all right.
I can attest that Wood Village is not the only city that Sandy fits into the same situation. That I've approached the neighbors about it and they've approached me and so I've got a goal and so we'll see how that one works.
Yeah, I mean, in San Diego, they got ODOT, they got the county. We just have the county. I guess we got ODOT, but it does pretty well for the interchange. So else that can help answer.
Greg, there's another article in your stuff.
We can do that later. Is there an attorney report?
I would only note for the record that Seth finished the meeting in 40 minutes during Greg's vacation. So you need to speed up here, Greg.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Be pointed out to me upon my return, but that the following day, the all staff, everyone was talking, laughing, fully engaged. So I just reminded them I've got tenure.
All right,
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Great. We'll go on to mayor and council comments. Any comments from the council?
I'll just again reiterate what if we know is that Mount Hood Community College passed their bond. And that's pretty fantastic after 6 failures. And for the, all of East County, I mean, this is a win. It's a big win. It's a big economic win for the county to get that renewal there. So that was great to see. And it's going to be exciting on that campus for families and students and the programs that they have in that at Mount Hood. So
A huge
Thank you, John, for sharing
shout
that.
out to you for moving signs and replacing them.
I'll tell you, I was up day and night trying to
No, I
track
think
my signs.
I think you moved mine.
I started to put little radio beacons on them.
Yeah, I know.
I could find them. Anyway, yeah, it was a campaign that was a lot of people involved in it, but
Yeah.
it got over the hump.
Councilor Clark, do you have any comments?
Thank you, John, for sharing that because here in Sandy, there was a lot of signs out this way as well. And so I was glad that Sandy was a part of that voting process, but I didn't know what the outcome had been. So I appreciate your comments. You've already heard mine, which is that I will have to resign. And so that'll happen very shortly at our next meeting.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
You'll be missed. But your situation, as you have shared with us all, requires that.
Yeah. I will truly miss the city of Wood Village.
Well,
You'll be missed.
Yeah. I just wanted to share that last week I was KGW8 reached out to me. There was a story on the Cook Plaza that seems that numerous amount of council members from Gresham were opposed of it. And so I was just asked the question of would the city of Wood Village be open to having a center within the city of Wood Village or the region. And My comments was the city of Wood Village is never opposed to resources coming to the city and the region. What we don't want is someone coming in and telling us what is going to happen without having meaningful conversation, without us who know our community and those that needed, and those that need, know it better. We want a real partnership, not just one on paper or when it's convenient. So that was my comment to them in response to the Cook Plaza. It seems like they're pausing for the moment, but there's some miscommunications from both parties that are heavily involved within the city of Gresham and the joint office. So just wanted to share that with the council.
Mayor, that was really a quote, and I happened to be watching that news program, and that quote came up following this clip. It wasn't even a clip. They spent quite a bit of time of saying now the Gresham Council is adamantly opposed to Cook Plaza. And these conversations, as you know, have been going on for a couple of years. And there's been people at the table from Gresham. Now, I can't speak for the council, but it was the mayor's quote fit in a way that really recognized Wood Village as a player. And Wood Village is here to help the homeless situation. But it has to be some conversations, and just well stated, and it fit right in. And I sent him a text after that, and so it'll be interesting to see
Well,
where that
and
goes.
that's where, just again, a little bit of more background and context. The county tends not to involve cities or partner jurisdictions in real estate transaction conversations at all. They say, hey, these are real estate. We hold it internally. You don't get to know. The counterpoint, and it's not just Wood Village or Gresham, it's kind of the city saying this, is, well, but you're looking to locate in our community. You can share that with us because we know our community and what may be palatable more than you do. And we have, at least the 3 cities have proffered either sites, places for lease, places for sale, that could be some kind of resource. And we never know what happens to those. And then one day the county says, we bought something. So, I mean, you see it from both sides. It's also, it needs to be more of a partnership than just county buys something and then after the fact, how do we make it work?
You said the imperative piece. The conversations need to happen well before there's a purchase of property. So anyway.
Yeah, just wanted to share that with the council. So just in case someone saw something or heard something. But without that, no more other comments or questions. We are adjourned. Have a good night, Council Clark.